Okay, guys, this is just the questions and answers and some of the twos games I had saved up. Um, First off, first is not a question. You cheated, so I'm just throwing that out right now. Okay, the actual first question. When did you start playing WoW? What made you roll a Death Knight? I started in vanilla and played for maybe a couple of months. Got to like level 30 on a hunter. Came back for Burning Crusade and actually leveled my tune up to 70. Ended up at 70 at the very end of season 1. Didn't know what PvP was. Tried my hand at some of the raids, tried my hand at some of the PvP. Didn't do all that well in season 2. But got a friend who actually had played, MMO PvP before and taught me most of the ropes and learned a lot from him. In season 3, I managed to barely make glide cutoff at 2070 on my hunter. I rerolled Death Knight because I took about a year break to finish up high school, graduate, and then get ready for college. And I lost to a 58 Death Knight on a level 70 Hunter. Rerolled, did another class, had a lot to learn again because a lot of things have changed. Anyone know how you get the group 1 thingy that blocks the rogue's HP? That's the default Blizzard raid UI. You can just reset that in your options and get it however you want to put it. What has been your most fun comp to play? Shadowcleave. By far, PhD's been really fun. Mage, DK, Rogue. Just anything where I actually get to play on Holy with a caster, where it's kind of like a melee caster healer, but you can also take it and be just sort of like a ranged Death Knight and have it be kind of like a spell cleave. Just a lot of versatility with the casters as opposed to melee cleaves. What kind of mouse do you use? Some random Logitech $5 left button, right button mouse wheel mouse I had lying around the house. How do you PvP with a Death Knight? Make sure Necrotic Strike's keybound like 8 different places and have a nose guard. You don't want to break your nose. Seriously though, I will release guides eventually. I've been meaning to get some out, but I just really haven't gotten it set up. And yeah, just get distracted. What do you think about Unholy versus Frost in 4.2? I'll probably be playing Unholy. Frost is still going to have its viability, but it's going to be rather limited. You kind of have to use your defensive cooldowns offensively as Frost, whereas you can save them for Unholy and still manage to stay on the target, which is just going to push Frost or Unholy ahead. That and the Glyph of Darksacre nerf is going to make it to where you really need Death's Advance to stay alive. Otherwise, your healer's going to be working a lot harder to keep you alive. Mainly because you don't have the mobility of like a warrior to intervene and charge away and heroic leap away if you need to. What do you think about this season and its balance? Burning Crusade, no one really knew what Arena was towards the very end of it, and it was a lot of RNG based. Wrath of the Lich King, people really figured out a lot of the more technical things of it, focus, kicks, etc. Well, they existed in Burning Crusade, but people got a lot more streamlined with them. As well as like Arena 1, 2, and 3 macros, and how you had to control the smallest cooldowns versus the smallest cooldowns to make sure you keep everything, because it was very finicky in Wrath. It slowed down a little bit more to Burning Crusade levels without the RNG now, but it needs to try to fix out some of the class balancing as well as some of the flavor of the month stuff. But it's getting closer to balanced, but they're created a lot of problems in doing it. They had healers get all of their dispels, which, without meaning to, I think they made Shaman just the best healer because they can stay out of the most CC with Shocks and Grounding Totem, as well as adding Decurse to Shamans and Druids, which Priests and Pallies don't have, so Priests and Pallies went from having the best dispel to the worst. Yeah, there's little things that end up changing that they need to fine-tune that have changed, but overall they're working towards balance, which wasn't quite as often seen in Wrath and Burning Crusade. Please don't take offense because I ever do love your videos, but compared to most WoW PvP YouTubers, you seem quite laid back in your stance towards your channel. Feel as though you barely you control. Oh wow, someone left like a legitimate constructive criticism comment. Thank you to whoever put that in. People need to do that more often. It's actually really refreshing to see like constructive criticism instead of half trolling or pissed off about something I did. How do you think Frost will be doing in the patch? Will it still be better for 2v2 with a Holy Pally? Hard to say. Holy Pally, Frost Death Knights definitely get the most benefit for playing with a Holy Pally because they do get the freedom, and you can kind of save anti-magic shell for defensive. But Unholy is going to be really strong anyway. It's really a toss-up in my mind. Probably Frost. will take you a little bit further. I'm not quite sure how the resilience scaling and how hard it's going to be to get off Hungry Colds without getting interrupted. I don't think it should be too difficult, considering most healer DPS teams are like Lock, Shaman, or Melee Healer, where Frost can just instant root, get out of melee range, and Hungry Cold, which isn't too hard. Why are you such a cutie? That is a terrible question. I have no idea. Why don't you play healer classes? Shadow Priest is awesome, but make more vids on it, please. Healers as opposed to DPS. I can see the swaps when I'm putting out pressure, who we should swap to and who's going to get swapped to because of our pressure, who's putting out more, and generally see who it's going to go on. Playing from a healer point of view, it's harder to tell who's taking the most damage and who's likely to be getting switched to relieve that damage or get a kill on. So it's just a skill set that I haven't developed yet. I would love to play a healer, but I definitely think I'm a much better DPS than I am a healer. Healers have a very different skill set. Also, with the Shadow Priest dot nerfs and burst increased, will it change their playstyle and change the viable teams for them? No. Shadow Priest already needed peels to put out significant amount of damage, while they did have good instant utility. Disarms, their fear being instant, and some of the dispels. They did need peels constantly to put out significant damage, which, you know, adding more direct damage and lowering their dot damage pretty much puts it at the same playstyle. So it'll be more reliant on their partner's skill to be able to peel for them to actually see where the Shadow Priest shines, whether it's, you know, peeling enough to be able to get off a mass dispel at will, or be able to actually put out a little bit of pressure, getting VT on multiple people if you have the mana for it. Things like that should be interesting. What do you think of the conquest points that forces people to enter rated BGs? That's annoying. Especially because they took away the mount from getting Hero of the Alliance. You just get it for 300 wins now. That's just going to be annoying. There's really no reason unless you really enjoy RBGs over Arena. Personally, I think it just requires a different skill set as opposed to Arena. Arena is very micromanaged, each cooldown, each ability to each ability. You know, you've got to stop recklessness at pretty much all costs. RBGs, it's more about group coordination than it is individual player skill. So I think it favors some people and ends up being just an annoyance to some of the others. What character do you like the most and the least? Interesting question. Honestly, my Shaman just hit 85, and I've always known Shamans have to hardcast pretty much the most out of all casters, excluding possibly if you're trying to play an Arcane Mage in Arena. But because of that, I definitely decided to spec my Shaman, Elemental, and Resto to try to figure out the caster and healer mindsets, which I haven't figured out, just to hopefully become a better player. And so I have the most to learn on it, and I definitely know I need a lot of work as it. So it's also like the least fun and the most fun at the same time. As an overall rule, though, I'd say probably my Shaman's my least, and my Death Knight is the most fun to play. But, well, Death Knight isn't always the most fun to play. I really like the playstyle of it, but, you know, I like all of them for different reasons. That's pretty much the last of the good questions. I will end on one note, though. Please don't message me in-game. I said it in the last video. If you really want to get a hold of me and have a question, as long as it's not asking me to help you redo your entire keybind set, message me on YouTube so I can get to it at my time as opposed to when I'm trying to do it in-game or checking over the Whispers window that I have on my chat log and seeing 10-15 people that have messaged me and then just getting frustrated and telling all of them not to whisper me, because I've definitely done that before. Please message me on YouTube. It's a lot easier to get to, and hopefully I'll get to it within a day or two, as opposed to messaging me on WoW.